Electric vehicles purchased 5 or 6 years ago are now showing a noticeable decline in performance and overall user experience when compared to traditional fuel-powered vehicles. The difference is similar to that between a smartwatch and a mechanical watch. Over time, a smartwatch can become laggy, outdated, or lose value, while a mechanical watch tends to retain its worth, or even appreciate in the case of certain premium brands. Most of today's electric vehicles, regardless of whether they use ternary lithium NCM/NCA or lithium iron phosphate LFP batteries, rely on lithium-ion battery technology. The primary difference lies in the cathode material, but the core electrochemical system remains the same. Over time, battery performance inevitably degrades with continued use. Why lithium-ion battery performance degrades. A lithium-ion battery is a highly complex dynamic electrochemical system. As the battery operates under real-world conditions, a series of internal chemical and physical changes gradually lead to performance degradation. One of the most significant signs of this is capacity fade. In other words, the battery slowly loses its ability to hold a charge. According to research, as the number of NEDC, New European Driving Cycle, charging cycles increases, the battery's irreversible capacity loss steadily grows. When a vehicle's total mileage reaches around 54,000 kilometers, 33,500 miles, the battery's capacity retention rate drops to about 93.27%. That means if you drive roughly 10,000 kilometers, 6,200 miles, per year, after 5 to 6 years, your EV's battery will have lost around 7% of its original capacity. For example, if the car originally delivered 500 kilometers, 310 miles, per full charge, it would now deliver only about 465 kilometers, 289 miles. Chart decreasing when is an EV battery considered worn out? In the EV industry, battery end of life isn't defined as when the battery hits 0%, but rather when its capacity drops to between 60% and 80% of its rated capacity. If we use the 80% threshold, a relatively conservative standard, then a 7% capacity drop after 50, 000 plus km, means the battery has already consumed about one-third of its usable lifespan. This helps explain why many early EV owners are now beginning to experience reduced driving range, longer charging times, and sometimes less predictable battery behavior. In addition to capacity degradation, battery performance also deteriorates in other ways as the battery ages. One of the most noticeable issues is the change in charging behavior. As the battery gets older, the constant current phase of the charging process becomes shorter, and the overall constant current ratio decreases over time. A good analogy is pouring a glass of beer. At the beginning, you pour slowly and carefully. In the middle, you can pour faster. But as the glass nears full, you slow down again to avoid spilling. Similarly, with aging batteries, the fast pour middle phase, the constant current charging period, becomes much shorter, meaning more time is spent in the slower constant voltage phase. As a result, total charging time increases, and the charging speed slows down noticeably. That's why many EV owners find that their vehicles, after 5 or 6 years of use, not only take longer to charge, but also don't deliver the same range even when fully charged. Battery and charging technology are moving fast. Meanwhile, battery and charging infrastructure technologies are evolving rapidly. Take charging stations, for example. Many of the public chargers installed just a few years ago are low-power AC units, which charge vehicles very slowly. Even the so-called DC fast chargers from that era often take more than 2 hours to fully charge a small EV with just a 200 kilometers, 124 miles, range, and they're not exactly easy to find. Today, however, ultra-fast charging stations with power levels up to 350 kilowatts are being rolled out. These superchargers can add hundreds of kilometers of range in just 10 to 20 minutes. So, even if the battery health of an older EV hasn't significantly declined, its charging speed, compatibility, and efficiency now lag far behind newer models, creating a noticeable gap in the user experience. If you've been driving an electric vehicle for 5 or 6 years and feel that its performance has noticeably declined, you might start thinking about selling it. But that's where another set of challenges begins. First, resale value is a major issue. The retained value of used EVs is significantly lower than that of traditional gas-powered vehicles. For example, the residual value of a pure electric vehicle after just 3 years is only about 37.3%. After 5 or 6 years, most EVs hold very little market value. A car that was originally purchased for 200,000 yuan, $28,000 USD, might only fetch a few tens of thousands yuan, $4,000, $7,000 USD, on the used market. And it's not just about price. They're also hard to sell. Currently, used electric vehicles make up less than 2% of the total used car transactions in the market. Even professional used car dealers are reluctant to accept them. Why? Because EVs depreciate rapidly, they don't sell quickly, and they're more likely to sit on the lot, draining storage space and cash flow. Most dealers would rather focus on traditional used cars, which retain value better and sell more easily. In short, the used EV market is limited, volatile, and full of financial risk. Even if you don't compare an older EV to a gas-powered car, the experience still lags far behind that of a modern electric vehicle. Technology has evolved rapidly, and many EVs purchased 5 or 6 years ago feel outdated today in terms of charging speed, range, battery health, connectivity, and software features. In this sense, EVs are becoming more and more like consumer electronics. They age fast and get replaced quickly, just like smartphones. There used to be a popular saying about gas-powered cars. You're buying an engine and getting the rest of the car for free. Now, in the EV world, the saying has changed to, you're buying a battery and the car comes with it. And that's not just a joke. Batteries are incredibly expensive. In some cases, the battery pack alone can cost 70,000 to 80,000 yuan, $10,000, $11,000 USD, making it the most valuable and most vulnerable part of the vehicle. So, is it still worth buying an electric vehicle? The answer is yes, under the right conditions. If you have access to home charging, don't frequently take long-distance trips, and don't have specific requirements for engine power or performance, then an EV can still be a very smart choice. Many people hesitate to buy an EV because of one concern: what if I need to replace the battery someday? After all, EV batteries can cost 70,000 to 80,000 yuan, $10,000, $11,000 USD. But in reality, there are two key reasons why this concern is less of an issue than it seems. 1. Battery prices are dropping every year. Battery costs are not fixed. They've been steadily decreasing year over year. While today's replacement costs might seem expensive, by the time your battery actually needs replacing, the cost will likely be much lower. According to the Heart of an Electric Vehicle report, the average battery cost for major suppliers like Samsung, Panasonic, and LG is around $150 per kilowatt hour. And a joint teardown analysis by UBS Group and P3 Automotive in 2020 predicted that battery prices would fall below $100 per kilowatt hour and continue to decline from there. Looking back, battery prices have already dropped by nearly one-third compared to just 3 years ago. So there's no need to overestimate the long-term replacement cost. 2. Long warranty periods provide peace of mind. Most modern electric vehicles come with comprehensive battery warranties. Under normal driving conditions, battery issues are rare, and if something does go wrong, the cost is usually covered. In fact, many new energy vehicle manufacturers offer warranties of at least 8 years or 120,000 kilometers, 75,000 miles, on critical components like power batteries, drive motors, motor controllers, energy storage devices. While some automakers don't clearly state whether battery degradation is covered under warranty, some do. For example, Tesla promises a free battery replacement if the capacity falls below 70% during the warranty period. Even for brands that don't guarantee replacement based on capacity loss, having any kind of battery warranty is better than none and gives EV buyers added confidence. 3. Modern batteries offer impressive longevity. Today's EV batteries are built to last far longer than many people assume. Even if a vehicle is driven for 400,000 kilometers, about 250,000 miles, the battery's remaining capacity is unlikely to drop below 80%. Let's take the example of ternary lithium NCM/NCA battery. In an 80% depth of discharge DOD cycle life test, where the battery is repeatedly charged at 80% and then discharged and near empty, the results were impressive. After 1,200 full charge discharge cycles, the battery had only degraded by 14.3%. That means 85.7% of the original capacity remained. It's worth noting that this test was conducted under stricter than normal conditions. In real-world driving, most EVs are rarely fully discharged, and when the dashboard shows a full charge, it's not truly 100%. That's because manufacturers intentionally lock a portion of the battery's capacity to protect long-term health and extend battery lifespan. Based on this test, if an EV starts with a 500 kilometers range and you're using an 80% charge-discharge cycle, your real-world range is about 400 kilometers per cycle. Multiply that by 1,200 cycles, and you get a total lifetime driving range of up to 480,000 kilometers, nearly 300,000 miles. Even if you drive 20,000 kilometers, 12,400 miles, per year, that battery could last 24 years. Many EVs today use lithium iron phosphate, LFP, batteries, which are known for even slower degradation and longer cycle life than ternary lithium batteries. That's why some manufacturers are confident enough to offer free battery replacements if the capacity falls below a certain level during the warranty period. However, not all electric vehicles benefit from these advancements. Some early EV models were equipped with small battery packs and had an original range of around 200 kilometers, 124 miles. Once their batteries degrade, their usable range may drop to near that of an electric bicycle, clearly affecting daily usability. So, if you're in the market for a used EV or even a new one, it's wise to estimate the vehicle's future range using an 80% degradation rule. Ask yourself, if this car's range drops to 80% over time, will it still meet my daily needs? If the answer is yes, you'll likely have a satisfying long-term ownership experience. Final thoughts. Should you worry about battery replacement? From the perspective of vehicle ownership cycles, most consumers don't need to worry about battery replacement at all. According to a report by J.D. Power, car ownership has become increasingly short-term. Today, only 1% of private vehicle owners keep their cars for more than 10 years. That means a vast majority of people replace their cars well before battery issues ever rise. Even under normal driving conditions, when an EV reaches 400,000 kilometers, about 250,000 miles, the battery can still maintain over 80% of its original capacity. EV resale value may decline, but battery anxiety isn't necessary. It's true that electric vehicles typically have a lower residual value than gas cars, and battery degradation can further reduce the resale price. But from a practical standpoint, most EV owners will never need to replace the battery themselves. Battery quality and reliability continue to improve. Battery replacement is rarely required during typical ownership, and if it ever is, by the time that happens, battery costs will likely be much lower than they are today. Manufacturers have you covered. On top of that, most EV brands offer long battery warranties, typically 8 years or 120,000 kilometers, covering not only failures, but sometimes even capacity degradation. As the EV industry evolves, we can also expect more advanced battery management solutions, software optimizations, and aftermarket repair options to further ease the cost of long-term ownership. Bottom line, don't let battery replacement fears stop you from going electric. If the EV fits your lifestyle today, it's probably still the smarter long-term choice.